Here is another possible 4-mark question from chapter number 3 of Auditing, CA Final. So what are the aspects that has to be considered while framing a system of internal check system within an organization? So let me first define what is an internal check system. So it is a check on the day-to-day transactions of the organization, which operates on a continuous basis and which is performed by one person, and it is either checked by another person or it is ensure that the same person independently performs it well. And the objective of the check system is to prevent the possibility of errors and frauds, or to detect them much ahead of time. So that is basically what an internal check system is. So the day-to-day transactions are being monitored carefully to avoid any sort of error or fraud. Now, like the aspects, I was talking about the aspects of framing an internal check system. So, what are the aspects that a person has to keep in mind while framing the system? So, the first aspect is the number of person engaged in performing a particular job. It is always advised to employ more than one person to perform a particular job from end to end. This will ensure there is no exclusive control given in the hands of one person to complete the job, and as a result, the possibilities of committing a fraud is being avoided here. The second aspect is the rotation of job. So one person should not be let to do his job for a very, very long time, because one, it's going to be a very comfort zone area for him to commit a few frauds or errors, and it might go unnoticed because of his expertise in his job, in his particular job. So it is always better to give a person a break, and without prior notice, they have to be rotated to other jobs. The third aspect is should be encouraged to go on leave. They should not feel insecure to leave the job and go on leave, because their frauds could be detected in their absence. So they have to be always encouraged to take the required number of days of leave in a year, and another person should be taking care of his roles and responsibilities in his absence. So this will give an opportunity to detect any frauds or any gaps which has been committed by the person who is taking care of the job. The fourth aspect is about the assets, the custody of the assets, and the maintenance of books of accounts. Now, there should be an independence here. Not the same person should be handling the assets as well as recording them in the books. So it's a simple way to avoid any possibility of frauds or even errors in that case. The fifth aspect is the class of assets. So there should be a appropriate accounting control in respect of each class of assets, and it should be periodically inspected and established in the establishing the physical condition of the assets. And the sixth aspect is the control introduced by the budgets. So every like say operations or sales, purchase, everything should have its own budget, and it has to be controlled. It should be ensured that the finances are in control within each and every department, or within each and every operations in an organization. And the seventh aspect is about the stocks. Every organization conducts stock taking at the end of the financial year. So this has to be done by a person who is not in that particular section, so that there is no room for any errors or any room for other frauds being committed by the person who is handling the stocks in the warehouse. The eighth aspect is the way the power, the financial or the administrative powers are being subdivided within the organization. So it has to be done in a very, very judicial manner, and it should also be reviewed periodically. Like it has to have the scope of changing the way it is being subdivided. And the last aspect is connected to this previous point in a way. The expansion and the contraction of the management and the system should be in correspondence to the size of the organization. The organization may be a small startup concern, and within like 6 months' time, it might expand into a bigger company. So the check system, which was framed for a smaller startup company, will not be suitable for a bigger concern when it grows. So it has to be appropriately expanded in order to meet the requirements. So overall, this is the requirement that any person has to keep in mind while designing or framing an internal check system in an organization to ensure it is complete and effective to control any possibility of errors or frauds in the organization.